some of us, it's going to be very hard to get.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a feeling this question's for me, but maybe I'm wrong.
I want to ask Robert Wright a question as an enthusiast for game theory. The preamble is your statement that religion is not so important as tribalism and groupishness, and I want to plant in your mind the idea that of the various badges by which groups might recognize in-group and out-group, religion might be more important than most because of the power of religious faith, which is handed on from generation to generation. Now, here's the game theory question. A thought experiment in a country that we might as well call Northern Ireland. Imagine that 300 years ago, you'd set up an experiment in which you divided people into two different tribes, which have no difference at all, but we'll call them the blues and the greens. Mm-hmm. And the rules are only these. Blues have to marry blues, greens have to marry greens, and blue children go to blue schools, and green children go to green schools. And that's going to go on for 300 years. As a game theorist, what is your prediction 300 years later, when the blues have never intermarried with the blues and the greens never with the greens, and they've gone to separate schools and learned separate things, learned separate interpretations of history, which have gradually grown up? You know as a game theorist what you're going to predict is going to happen. What will be the tribalisms that you will see in 300 years' time? And would you expect violence?
Actually, if disparities emerged in the course of the history between the two groups in terms of power, socioeconomic standing, relative income levels, which would give rise to possible resentments, and various other things, I would think it's actually possible that antagonism could develop. And I don't know much about Northern Ireland, but as I understand it, Catholics and Protestants were not equal in all of those respects and in their access to power.
That may very well be true, but my point is, how do you know which tribe you belong to unless you've been to a Catholic school or a Protestant school? If they'd simply intermarried and gone to the same schools, you wouldn't be able to identify who's a Catholic or a Protestant. There'd be no such thing as a Catholic or a Protestant. Right. The world would be a better place.
Yeah, well, I mean,